When we look at the tax bill and the progress it is making, being voted upon and passed by the Senate Budget Committee, now headed to the full Senate floor by next week, does this change the way investors approach the different asset classes, whether it's stocks, whether it's treasuries, indeed, whether it's gold or Bitcoin?
Well, that's a very good question. I think the first question we have to ask is whether we think that this tax bill is already priced into U.S. stocks. And I think the answer to that is probably yes. When you look at the rally that has ensued in U.S. stocks since Election Day on promises of tax reform, on promises of infrastructure, it seems to me that outcome has already been priced in. So I wouldn't expect stocks to go any higher. It's very dangerous to make predictions, of course, but it seems to me that those outcomes are already priced in. In terms of what sectors, I think that any tax relief is going to benefit companies across the board, and this rally has been has sort of lifted all boats, so to speak. And I think that's probably the right outcome, because I think you will see stronger earnings from all companies based on this tax bill.
And it's been a very busy day in Congress, of course, Julia, with the Banking Committee interrogating Jay Powell and trying to get him to say something about the fiscal plan, the tax cut, what it would mean for the economy. He wouldn't bite, though.
No, I mean, the reaction function here is clearly really important for the Federal Reserve in terms of their reaction when we do, and if we do, of course, get this tax overhaul passed. But he also seemed to push back at the same time and say, look, it's not for him to assess the quality of this. They just have to react further down the line. How indeed do you think that will change the game as far as monetary policy is concerned, given that really what we heard today, it seemed, was a continuation of Janet Yellen?
Well, I think it's interesting because Powell has been sort of trumpeted as a continuation of the of Bernanke and Yellen era, and that I don't know if we can draw any real conclusions about that. It's what I call the Powell paradox, because on the one hand, that's the expectation. On the other hand, we don't really know what's going to happen, and we don't know what Yellen herself would have done in the seat. There's just never been this much stimulus in the system, and certainly there's never been this much stimulus flying around when inflation is having a hard time picking up. And, they have specifically said that they prefer an ad hoc approach versus, of course, the approach that Taylor would have brought to the table. So we don't really know what Yellen would have done, and I think, therefore, we don't really know what Powell is going to do. And so I think we have to be mindful that there's a lot less certainty in the Powell appointment than we generally are giving credit for.